Hello and welcome to KoKo Language Learning Lounge.
We're glad you're here. I'm Rob.
And I'm Crystal. In this episode, we're going to show you how to start a conversation, express feelings, agree and disagree, share opinions, and ask for help or advice.
We'll also share some personal experiences of our own situations where we use these expressions in real life.
By the end of the episode, you'll learn practical phrases and cultural tips that help your English sound more natural.
We'll include short dialogue examples and explain why people use certain expressions in different contexts.
Whether you are traveling, working, or chatting with classmates, you'll hear phrases you can start using right away.
Let's dive in. One of the first steps in daily English conversation is to greet someone and ask how they are. It is common to start with, "Hey, how's it going?" or "Hi, how are you?"
Yes, for example, last Monday morning, I saw my friend Sarah at the bus stop. I smiled and said, "Good morning, Sarah. How's your day so far?"
Oh, I had a similar experience. Just last week, I bumped into a colleague at the coffee machine. I said, "Hi, how are you?" And she replied, "Pretty good. I just got my coffee." It was a nice little start to the day.
Notice there are two parts. The greeting phrase, good morning, and the check-ins. How's your day so far? A common response pattern is it's going adjective, thanks. For example, it's going great, thanks. It's going okay. Or it's been rough.
Yes, and sometimes you can ask about something specific. Like last Friday, I remembered my friend had a big presentation. When I saw him, I asked, "Hey, how did your presentation go?"
That's great. I did something similar. Over the weekend, I ran into my neighbor. I remembered she had gone on a trip, so I asked, "How was your weekend getaway?" She looked surprised and happy that I remembered.
It really helps make the conversation more personal. Let's play out a short example based on that.
Hi, Tom. How was your weekend?
Hey, Crystal, it was good. I went hiking. How about you?
I spent time with my family and relaxed. It was nice.
That's just like a conversation I had last Sunday. I was telling someone about how I spent the whole afternoon trying to fix a leaky faucet. It ended up being harder than I thought.
Oh, I totally relate. A few weeks ago, I spent hours assembling a bookshelf. I thought it would take 30 minutes, but it turned into a 3-hour project. Talking about these everyday things helps keep the conversation going.
Another common opener in social or less formal situations is "long time no see" or "it's been a while."
Yes, like when I bumped into an old university friend at a cafe last month. I said, "Oh, wow. Long time no see. How have you been?" She replied, "Good. I just moved to a new city." Then we spent the next 5 minutes talking about where she lives now.
I do the same with people I used to work with. Just last week, I ran into someone from my old job. I said, "Hey, I haven't seen you in ages. What's new?" And he told me he had just started a new business.
It's amazing how sharing your recent experiences can open up a whole conversation. One thing that always comes up in real conversation is talking about how we feel. Whether we're happy, stressed, excited, or frustrated, expressing feelings is a big part of sounding natural.
Absolutely. I remember last month I was feeling completely overwhelmed at work. I had 3 deadlines in the same week, and I told a friend, "Honestly, I'm feeling super stressed this week."
That's such a common phrase. I've said that too. Just last weekend, I had so many errands to run. At one point, I said to my sister, "I feel exhausted. I've been running around all day."
Simple phrases like I feel tired, I'm so excited, or I'm kind of nervous work really well. Let me share something funny. A couple of weeks ago, I was trying something new at the gym kickboxing, and I said to my trainer, I'm nervous but excited.
Oh, I love that combination. I said something similar when I was preparing to give a presentation in front of about 50 people. I told my friend, I'm excited, but I can't lie, I'm also a bit anxious.
That's a great way to balance emotions. Another phrase I use a lot is I'm relieved. Like when a project finally finishes, I'll say I'm so relieved that's done.
Yes. And on the opposite side, I sometimes say I'm disappointed, especially when plans change. For example, I was really looking forward to a concert last month, but it got canceled. I told my friend, I'm so disappointed. I've been waiting for this for weeks.
There's also the classic I'm frustrated. Last week I was trying to update my phone and it just wouldn't work. After an hour, I messaged my friend, I'm so frustrated right now.
Been there. Another one is I'm proud. When someone achieves something, you can say, I'm really proud of you. I said that to my younger cousin recently after she finished her final exams.
That's one of my favorites too. I told my nephew, I'm proud of how hard you've worked this year. It really means a lot to people.
Definitely. How about we go through a quick dialogue example that includes a few of these emotions?
Hey, how are you feeling today?
Honestly, a bit overwhelmed. I have two big assignments due.
Oh no, that sounds stressful.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay positive, but I feel anxious.
I get that. I was feeling the same way last week. But once I turned everything in, I felt so relieved.
It's perfect. It's short, real, and relatable. It's okay to be honest about emotions in English, just like we are in our own language.
Absolutely. And the key is using those simple but clear emotional phrases. I feel, I'm so, or I was really.
Let me share one more quick story. A few days ago, I watched a movie that made me cry. Afterward, I told my friend, that movie was so touching, I felt emotional the whole time.
That reminds me, I cried watching a documentary last week. I texted my friend and said, I'm not gonna lie, I got emotional. That story really hit me.
See? We all feel deeply sometimes, and sharing that in conversation makes everything more genuine.
Another part of natural conversation is sharing your opinions, especially when you agree or disagree with someone. And doing it respectfully is key.
Absolutely. I remember once I was talking to a coworker about working from home. She said she thought it made people lazy. I didn't agree, but I didn't want to sound rude. So I said, I see where you're coming from, but I think it depends on the person.
That's such a good way to disagree politely. A few weeks ago, I was at a dinner with friends, and someone said they don't think social media is useful at all. I replied, I get what you mean, but I've actually found it helpful for staying in touch with my family.
Great example. Phrases like, I understand your point, or I respect that, but can make a huge difference. One time, my brother said he thought horror movies were pointless. I said, that's fair, but I actually enjoy the suspense. It's fun for me.
Another one I use is that's one way to look at it. I used it during a book club discussion when someone really didn't like the book I loved. I said, that's one way to look at it, but I connected with the story differently.
And when we agree with someone, there are lots of phrases too. Like, totally, exactly, I couldn't agree more, or that's so true. For example, when my friend said she feels more productive in the morning, I said, totally. I get more done before noon than the rest of the day.
I often say, that's a good point. Just last week, my coworker mentioned how walking meetings help clear her mind. I replied, "That's a good point. I should try that."
Let's do a quick role play to show both agreeing and disagreeing naturally. I think traveling solo is the best way to learn about yourself.
I see what you mean. I've had some great solo trips, but I actually prefer traveling with friends.
That makes sense. Group trips can be fun too.
Totally. It depends on the experience you want.
That's the kind of balance we're talking about. It's not about proving someone wrong, it's about sharing your own perspective.
Exactly. Even when you strongly disagree, saying something like, "I have a different take on that," or "from my perspective," can help keep things friendly.
One last story last month, my friend and I were talking about cooking. She said cooking at home is always healthier. I disagreed, but I just said, sometimes. But I think it depends on what you cook and how you cook it.
Nice. I think the more we practice these phrases, the easier it gets to stay respectful even in disagreements.
Sharing your opinion is a big part of everyday English conversations. And doing it clearly and naturally helps people understand you better, even if they don't always agree.
Definitely. I remember talking with my cousin about digital books versus paper books. She asked me which one I prefer. I said, personally, I like paper books because I enjoy the feel of the pages.
That's a good way to start. I usually begin with, in my opinion, or I think that. Like last weekend, I was having lunch with friends, and someone asked which movie we should watch. I said, I think that comedy would be a good choice. We all need a laugh.
Sometimes I say, if you ask me, it sounds casual, but still shows it's just my view. For example, when someone asked if they should take a gap year, I said, if you ask me, a gap year can be a great way to gain life experience.
Yes, I've used to be honest when I want to be direct, but not rude. Last week, someone asked if I liked a certain restaurant. I said, to be honest, the food was just okay, but the atmosphere was great.
Another one I like is from my perspective. A few days ago, I was in a group project, and someone suggested a very complex idea. I said, from my perspective, we might want to keep it simple so we finish on time.
That's smart. Let's show a quick example where two people share opinions. What do you think about working remotely full time?
Honestly, I love it. I'm more focused without all the office noise.
I see your point. Personally, I miss the face to face energy.
Yeah, I get that. From my experience, it depends on the job and the person.
That shows how opinions can be shared clearly and respectfully.
Right. You can even add strength to your opinion using phrases like, "I strongly believe," or "I'm convinced that." For example, I often say, "I strongly believe that sleep is just as important as diet and exercise."
Or I'm convinced that learning through real conversations is more effective than memorizing vocabulary. That's something I really believe from experience.
Same here. And don't forget to ask for other people's opinions too. That makes it a real conversation. Say, "What do you think?" or "Do you agree?"
Exactly. Like yesterday, I told a friend, I think online learning is here to stay. What's your take on that? And we had a really interesting discussion.
Sharing your thoughts doesn't mean you need to be right. It just means you're opening the door to more connection. Sometimes the hardest thing in English conversations is asking for help or advice. But once you know a few key phrases, it becomes much easier and more polite.
I agree. A few weeks ago, I was trying to fix my Wi Fi, and I needed help from a neighbor. I said, Hey, sorry to bother you, but could you help me with my router? He smiled and came right over.
That's perfect. Phrases like sorry to bother you, but or would you mind are super useful. Last month I was in a cafe and didn't know how to connect to the Wi Fi. I asked the person next to me, "Excuse me, would you mind showing me how to connect?"
Yes, and do you happen to know which sounds very polite and natural? For example, at the library, I once asked, do you happen to know where the printer is?
I've also used could you possibly when I want to sound especially respectful. Like, could you possibly explain that again? I said that in a meeting when I didn't catch everything.
And when asking for advice, I usually start with, what would you do if, or do you have any advice on last month? I wasn't sure how to prepare for a job interview, so I asked a friend, do you have any advice on what to say when they ask about weaknesses?
That's a great one. I recently said to my mentor, I'd love your thoughts on how to improve my time management. It opened up a great conversation.
Let's show a quick example of how a request for advice might go. Hey Rob, do you have any advice on giving a good online presentation?
Sure, keep your slides simple and make sure you look into the camera now and then.
Thanks. Also, would you mind reviewing my slides later?
Not at all. Just send them over when you're ready. That's how simple and natural it can be. Just a few polite words make a big difference.
And don't forget to show appreciation. Say, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Or that means a lot.
Totally. Last week, someone helped me carry a box, and I said, I really appreciate your help. It was a small gesture, but it mattered.
It's amazing how these little polite expressions build trust in conversation. So, we've talked about starting conversations, expressing feelings, agreeing and disagreeing, sharing opinions, and asking for help. That's a lot of practical English.
Definitely. And the best way to really learn these phrases is to practice them out loud in context and ideally with someone else.
One thing I like to do is replay conversations in my head after they happen. For example, last week I talked to a coworker about a project. Afterward, I thought, what if I had said it differently? I practice saying, in my opinion, this approach might be more efficient just to get used to it.
That's a great strategy. I sometimes practice while walking. I pretend I'm meeting someone and say out loud, "Hey, how's everything going?" Or I've been feeling a bit stressed this week.
Another method is to write down short dialogues like the ones we did today. Then read them out loud, or even better, act them out with a friend.
Last weekend, I actually did that with a friend who's learning English. We wrote a script about ordering food and acted it out. It was fun and really helpful.
You can also record yourself speaking. It might feel strange at first, but hearing your own voice helps you catch what sounds natural and what doesn't.
Or use a mirror. I sometimes look at myself and say, I'm a little nervous, but I'll do my best. It boosts confidence too.
Let's do a mini review of the key phrases we've used.
For greetings. Hey, how's it going? Good morning. How's your day so far? Long time no see. How have you been?
For feelings, I feel exhausted. I'm so excited. I'm kind of nervous. I'm relieved, I'm proud, I'm disappointed.
For agreeing, disagreeing. I see what you mean, but that's a good point. I understand your point. I get what you're saying.
For sharing opinions, in my opinion. To be honest, if you ask me, from my perspective,
And for help or advice, would you mind? Could you possibly? Do you have any advice on? I really appreciate your help.
these are all things we've actually used in real life. They're not just textbook phrases, they come from our daily conversations.
Right. And the best part is, once you start using them, your confidence grows and English feels more like your own language.
So here's our advice to listeners. Choose a few expressions from today and use them in a real conversation this week.
Or practice them out loud by yourself. You'll be surprised how quickly they become natural. Thanks for joining us on KoKo Language Learning Lounge. We'll be back soon with another episode.
Until then, take care and happy learning.